Clan Tremere is a hollow reflection of its former glories. With the pyramid decapitated and its leadership scattered, Tremere traditionalists look to one vampire for authority. Former Justicar, Karl Schrekt. A legend within his own clan and the Camarilla, Schrekt hunted vampires before his embrace in 1235. For centuries, he's acted as the Camarilla's weapon against the Sabbat, anarchs, and occult menaces. He suppressed or destroyed lore regarding antediluvians, eliminated countless threats to the Masquerade, and did it all without mercy. He earned his share of disciples, but few enemies. Those he got, he killed. Now, he's one of the eldest Tremere remaining. Schreck's descendants largely follow their ancestors' hardline clan and sect views, enforce the traditions, strengthen the clan, and hide the secrets of blood magic from other vampires. Greetings, Kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and welcome to our World of Darkness, and another episode of Metaplot Monday, where today we're going to go through the Descendant of Karl Schrekt Loresheet. Now, Karl Schrekt's Loresheet is interesting, I think, primarily because of who Karl Schrekt is. He is such an interesting addition to the World of Darkness, because not only is he a vampire, and a Tremere at that, which is enough to make him worth notice, he was a vampire hunter. Specifically, he said he hunted demons in his time, but he hunted anything supernatural. He considered anything supernatural in his time. He was a member of the Inquisition, and after being bested in contest of combat, I guess, through one of his targets, he became embraced in the year 1235. Now, he just has so many interesting little parts of his personality and backstory that are interesting. His rivalry with the Prince of Berlin, and the fact that he is said to, and I just want to point this out, that this is information coming from a Tremere, and vampires themselves are known to lie, but Karl Schrekt insists that he diablerized a lupine and dropped generation due to that at one point in time. So let's just take that with a grain of salt, but the idea that he might have been able to actually find a way to do that also is quite interesting. But he as an individual, the fact that he's still around, and still, although not holding the title of Justicar for Clan Tremere any longer, he still performs the role. He still acts as if he is a Justicar. And he has so much respect within the Camarilla that even though he's not, most Kindreds still give him leeway. They still give him the ability, because he still holds that authority for so long. And he has not been a Justicar since 1987. So that is still very, very interesting on his part. Investing one trait into this lore sheet gets you Remember the House. Once per story, you can ask the storyteller for one piece of information regarding the activities of House Tremere or the clan before its grievous injury. So you can get information about House Tremere. I think that's kind of interesting, because it would have to insinuate that even though you are a Tremere, and you do have to be a Tremere to take this because you are a descendant of a Tremere, this basically states that there is information that even the Tremere do not know about the Tremere. And I think that a lot of people who play members of clans just assume that they have all the lore. And especially in a clan like the Tremere that has so many secrets, they are going to definitely keep secrets from their own, especially in the state that the Tremere is in now. What kind of secrets, that is going to be completely up to the storyteller. But it does take into thought that if you are playing a Tremere, if you're playing anything really, you should not assume that you know everything that's going on simply because you have the clan's name. Investing two traits into this lore sheet gets you Hardliner. Schreck's way is the only way forward for your clan. You follow Schreck's law fanatically. With the storyteller's agreement, add 2 dice to any dice pool when testing to resist attempts to sway you from Schreck's goal. I like that. I think that I am a huge fan of the fact that a lot of these lore sheets do tend to have the effects of what I would call iron will on a character, but only for specific things. And the fact that these are Tremere who are loyal to House Tremere. They're loyal to the pyramid. And the fact that the pyramid is effectively gone at this point is a very neat way of looking at things. But also the idea of the Tremere who do not want the pyramid to be over and want to rebuild it. Perhaps with Karl Schrekt as the new lead. This could very well bring on whole plot lines for games that if you wanted to do just a full game of nothing but Tremere. And try to stylize your game around the lore sheets that are Tremere focused. Having a Descendant of Karl Schrekt in that group might be one of those things that really does push the storyline a little bit further when they're trying to when people are trying to make them diverge from the path that they've chosen. Dedicating 3 traits to this lore sheet gets you Ritual Preparedness. Allegedly, Karl Schrekt prepares all of his rituals in advance and keeps several such pre-prepared rituals about his person at all times. Once per story, you may perform one of your rituals in 5 minutes without preparation, having done all the preparation beforehand. I'm not really sure how most storytellers handle this, but I do think that it really depends on the character. I'm not 100% sure if this specific piece of lore sheet is worth it in my games, due to the fact that if somebody is playing a Tremere and they play that studious person who always has things on them, being able to have your rituals prepared ahead of time, I guess that could actually have a lot to deal with how your players spend their downtime actions. And that is actually something that I want to take in consideration when I am writing up rules for how my downtime actions go. I think I do need to put something on there. But the fact that they can have something like this would actually supersede the need to actually have spent time doing that. Now, whether it is once per story, I guess that would have to do for an arc. So having that extra bit put to the side would be very, very helpful. So if I was saying, oh, you have so many downtime actions, you'd have to put them towards having a ritual pre-prepared ahead of time. Being able to have one right off the cuff, I think that is definitely worth 3 points. As a storyteller, I'm interested in knowing what other storytellers would use this for with their players. If it might be able to supersede them needing to use their downtime actions and such things. That would be a good thing to consider. Interested on your feedback on that one. Investing 4 traits gets you Archon's Bane. You find Schreck's targeting of supernatural entities deplorable, and you have formed a tight bond with a member of another supernatural background. You have a 4-dot ally, a mage, werewolf, wraith, changeling, or something even stranger. You must keep your friends safe as they are being hunted. Once per story, they come to your aid within 1 to 10 hours when called. That is always just a fun thing to have. I'm just going to point that out there. Being able to call upon another supernatural. A mage, For a Tremere, that's amazing, straight off the bat. But a changeling or a werewolf, a wraith, anything like that, being an ally that will come to your aid is always something very neat. I think with the 1 to 10 hours when called, I think what I would end up doing is rolling a d10, and depending on what number popped up would be how long it takes them to get there. But I cannot ever say that it's a bad idea to have an ally of another supernatural of some kind. That is just something that is always going to be helpful. Though you do have to be careful that you're not burning bridges when it comes to that kind of thing. Because if you call them at the wrong time or get them involved in the wrong things, if it's a werewolf, they might be killed by the other werewolves. Just out of not wanting you to worm taint them in some fashion. Investing 5 traits into this lore sheet gets you Know the World. Karl Schrekt believes knowledge is power, and that vampires who limit their learning to the study of fellow kindred are fools. Whether Schreck's puppet or nemesis, you agree with his assessment and keep archives on werewolves, magi, wraiths, fae, and other weird entities. This collection equates to a 3-dot Haven library. Pick 3 suitable specialties of occult. Although you might not store your reference materials in your Haven. Also, once per story, you can ask the storyteller to answer any simple question related to such creatures. Lore. It's always good. I can't say that this is ever a bad thing. And the fact that it is considered a 3-dot Haven library, even if you don't actually have to have a Haven to keep it in, is always a good thing. I don't think lore is ever bad because it should always come up there. Vampires should always run into something else at some point in time to keep things spicy. And having Karl Schrekt as an example here, and like it said, either as a nemesis of somebody that you are trying to outdo or as someone you look up to, is always that's motivation. That is motivation to keep yourself up to date on the lore of those specific things. So here we are at the end of the Karl Schrekt lore sheet. And as much as I love the Descendant of Karl Schrekt idea, I don't think that this necessarily should have to be a Descendant lore sheet. Now, I don't think that matters that much. To me, if somebody said, oh, I want to have Know the World, or I want ritual preparedness, but I don't actually want to be his grandchild or great-grandchild or something like that, I would tell them I didn't care. I would just say that this is a Tremere-specific lore sheet, that you don't actually have to be Schreck's descendant. But it does definitely, there is a lot of personalized feel when it comes to this due to his lore and his days as a hunter and things like that. So I believe that's all I really have to say about the Descendants of Karl Schrekt lore sheet. I would like to apologize if I sound a little strange right now. I'm a little under the weather, but hopefully I shall be popping back up relatively soon. We have lots and lots of fun things to come. I have the Animalism level by level coming up. We have a interview with Serendipity Weird, the player of Dawn from Thicker Than Water, and also I plan on starting a brand new segment called Midnight Mass coming up, where we are going to cover more of the Sabbat items in our world of darkness. I am Voivode Maquette. This has been our World of Darkness, and if you have anything to say on this lore sheet, I eagerly await to hear it. Good evening.